What is going on, everyone? My name is Boy, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map in the blue color, playing as Kronos. His name is Joe. His opponent today in the red color, playing also as Kronos. His name's Hell's Ravage. Joe's back after a slight hiatus into the Age of Empires 2 scene. Realizes it's way too much skill for anyone to really handle, and you have to have played the game for an incredibly long time to be any good at it, and has decided to come back to a game in which you need a completely different skill set to be good at, which he's developed over the years and is very good at this game, and we love watching Joe play. He's going to be a little bit rusty in these games, so give him a very large break if he does anything silly or feels like he's forgetting things. We're going to chalk that up to Age of Empires 2 plays differently to Age of Mythology, and that's going to be that. Hell's Ravage, on the other hand, he keeps his level pretty high for the minimal amount of games he plays. Whereas, like, I don't know, someone like a Chemo who plays like 1 million games a day, I'd wonder what his level would drop to if he stopped playing for like a couple of weeks. Whereas Hells will stop playing for a couple of weeks, come back, and nothing will change. But it's like riding the bike, I guess, for Hells. So we'll see what he can pull out in these games. Got a couple of games here for you guys to watch, so hopefully they're good. We've got the Kronos versus Kronos. I think these guys are possibly playing random. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there is a possible human being in the chat that could say this or that. But, yeah. Random rated games is always the best kind because it really, like, let's be real. If you play this game and you only play one god, that's 12 matchups you can have. And we're about to do some mental arithmetic, and it's going to be awful. It's going to be very awful. But maybe we'll get it right. Okay, so if you play random gods, and you play against people that play random gods, then you have... Is it 12 times 12 matchups? No, that can't be right. That seems like it's... Is that correct? 144 different matchups you can have. Is that wait, that doesn't sound right at all. Can we 120? No, maybe it is right. I'm gonna lock it in. 144. 12 factorial. That would be not including mirror matchups. I know what factorial means. I did maths in high school. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it's a thing. Maybe it's factorial. No, it's not factorial because that doesn't include mirror matchups.
Here, Joes.
Because Zeus versus Zeus is a matchup, right? And you do that for all 12. And then Hades versus all 12 gods. So it's 12 times 12. Well, 12 times 12, yeah, maybe. Or is it 12 times 12 times 12 times 12 times 12? No, 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12. So 12 times 12 is correct. Boom. I'm going with it. I'm locking it in. Everyone laugh at me in the chat. That's fine. Okay, now we're back to the game. We've got Prometheus coming in for Joe. And we have Hells going Prometheus as well here. Absolutely can't believe that's the god of choice in this matchup, considering the options of going Leto could be so prevalent. Right? It could be amazing. Leto here. But not going to be happening because we're seeing Prometheus. we got the Oracle Scouts in their base waiting up for the Promethean, or the what do you call it? This thing? Valor? That's what it's called. We're struggling here. And the Promethean comes in, starts bashing away at the Oracle. Did he even get focus? Well, he got focus, so these Oracles are speedy boys. It's such a cheap upgrade, you may as well get it. That's 50 wood and 2 favor. Does manage to pick up an Oracle for free there, giving Joe first blood in this game. Hells has got to be fuming after that one. The military barracks is up and the counter barracks is up for Hells though. Ready to return fire. We've got Terma and Murmillo coming out here. ProKill has confirmed that I am correct with 144. So you can't laugh at me on this day. On this day, boy, mental arithmetic is king. Those times tables we did back in primary school sunk in, and we slayed it. Hell's casting his own Valor God power to get his Murmillo heroed and his Terma hero here. But Joe's gone for the Oracle hero instead. Now, Oracles with focus, are they better than Murmillos? 9.6 hack attack and 150 HP versus 140 HP and 8.4 with less hack. So Oracle's nowhere near better. Nowhere near better than Murmillo, and Joe making that mistake there. But getting housed as well, putting the mana up. He's got a lot of resources in the bank. Sometimes a way around dealing with getting housed is throwing up an extra military building and just queuing up some units in there without auto queue, just to like reorganize your output of units, because your economy is still bringing in the resources, but it's going to get slightly out of balance if you're not spending them on queue with your auto queue. So if you do get housed, you can always throw down an extra military building and just queue up a couple of units in there to fix up that economy, catch back up to your opponent. Instead of being behind in army, you're behind in 100 resources, which is much better in my opinion. So just a thing you could do. Hells moving forward into the middle of the map for the I almost said the Karibo. The Caribou. Oh god! I saw a Yu-Gi-Oh meme today, so that's why we're thinking Karibo. But all right, lots of defensive maneuvers going on here. I love seeing the manners on here. The Val comes down again, getting 2 hero citizens on food. So Joe obviously favoring those hero citizens on food, whereas Hells is favoring it on the wood. So that's interesting to see. Whether or not one or the other is better is hard to tell. Gathering from Hunt is obviously the fastest resource in the game, so these heroes are netting Joe more resources than what Hells' hero villager is bringing him in. I'm going to be seeing Hells poking his head in, being like, "What do I want to fight this or not?" And he's going with the not here. He's probably overdone the Terma. Big difference with these Atlantean armies in this Chronos War is those Terma, they don't have 5.5 speed anymore. They don't dodge arrows as well as the Oranos heroes. I mean, the Oranos Terma, I should say. So you kind of get a bit destroyed by Kyra Balsta, where you probably wouldn't have if it was an Oranos War with Micro, and on top of that, the Terma, they don't, I don't know. Got another house coming up. Got the population deficit 115 to 95, and that is simply because of houses not coming down on time. But Joe's going to be fixing that one up with the counter barracks now, ready to get those units out. Joe's economy is slightly in the lead, and he's getting some scouting done with these Terma. Just checking what he can do, if he can get a couple of arrow fires onto some citizens or something. I don't like when you have this many villages on one hunt source. If you think about, would you do this? I'm going to have a fight here, but would you do that? Would you do this many villages if they were the equivalent in villages? An equivalent of 4 villages is 10 Greek villages. Would you put 10 Greek villages in the middle of the map on 5 characters? I don't think so, but now we've got Hells ready for the fight. He's got the medium upgrades and he's coming into Joe, and I don't think Joe's got any of those coming in, and he's going to be in a bit of struggle here. Val comes down for Hells, 5 Prometheans for Joe, and we've got 4 Prometheans for Hells Ravage. So it's going to be a little bit of an advantage there for Hells. We've got a deconstruction coming down onto one of those military barracks. It's just going to be Kyra Ballista coming out for a little bit here as the military barracks gets rebuilt. Very, very interesting there. I would have actually think it'd be kind of more of a decent use to use deconstruct on a mana after a fight like that. That way you keep your opponent at like 95 population or whatever it is until they get that mana back up, which probably delays more than the military barracks would in terms of keeping the army going. But that's just an interesting thought, and I'm sure it doesn't matter that much. But you know, Joe's looking to get some kills here, which he is doing. I think maybe Hells' army's too big and he couldn't select his entire army there. Some of them come back in to face off against the might of Joe. And we're sitting in this situation where if you leave your counter barracks and military barracks on auto queue and you don't lose units, oftentimes you hit 99% citizens. Whereas Joe has not hit 99% citizens yet. So he's still getting his economy going even stronger. Even though he's lost fights, he's actually like put him further ahead on the economy, losing those fights. And now Hells is sitting back here and he's not going to be able to get villages until he builds that second town center. Whereas Joe's still, well, he's at 99% now, but he was happily building up for an extra couple of minutes there, or maybe a minute or so there for all that good stuff. Looks good, looks good. Got the villagers moving forward here.
Yoshi.
And we're having a bit of a lull as the town center is going up. Probably going to be seeing Hyperion soon for Joe. Hells pretty close as well. Joe's food situation is absolutely gigantic as he's moving villagers forward onto gold mines and stuff. But we'll see what he can do with it. He needs to get 500 gold in like yesterday. He could just cancel these units for the time being. That's another thing you can think about doing with Atlantean. When you're building the second town center, cancel your production, and we can see, I was going to say we can see that Hells has done that, but he's still building Kyra Ballista from one location here. It all depends on how much fighting you're doing, but if you're playing defensive like this, you can kind of just cancel and build when you need to. Stay away from the auto queue in this situation would be your best bet for your army, for your military buildings at the very least. Because you want to get out that max villagers. And there's the Hyperion for Hells, and Joe actually a little bit behind on this one. He doesn't have Shaft Mine. He could consider getting it. It's not coming through just yet. Fair enough. But Hells is going to be making a move onto this gold mine, which is kind of the only gold mine Joe is going to be making a move onto this gold mine, which is the only gold mine which Hells has really got access to. He's sneaking this gold mine for the time being. Probably should time shift a mana over there just to be safe. But Joe could definitely force a fight here. He's going to be greeted with a Chaos very, very soon. And that's going to spell a little bit of disaster if he managed to hit one of the low HP Prometheans, unfortunately. I mean, there's only one high HP there, so gets the low roll on that one, but it's not that big of a deal. The Mermillo gets turned into low HP ones and get picked up very fast by those Ballista, and then everything else dies very soon after it. And now Joe's going through Hyperion himself. What are we going to be seeing with this temple? Are we seeing Satyr from Hells, or we are seeing the So Hells, this pretty much means that you go for a heroic age push. If you're making these Satyrs, you want to go as hard as you can in the heroic age to make something happen. So that means build palaces, get destroyers, get 3 town centers. If you don't go for the Satyrs, you go for Mythic Age and you try and get Tartarian Gate down or Hyperion out, and play for heroic Mythic Age spikes. We are seeing Hells make a move forward here now. Goldmine of Joe is looking like it could be a little bit of a place to fight, but we do have Hyperion coming in for Joe, and potentially could pick off those Satyr that Els is making now. But he also might get super unlucky and hit those Promethean Offspring. So hopefully he doesn't just immediately cast Chaos, which he does do, and he gets one of the Promethean Offspring. Super unfortunate, but that's something you got to be aware of, and it's difficult if you don't use the God Power very much. But he gets the super low roll there on the Promethean Offspring, but does win the fight and effectively manages to control this Goldmine for a little bit longer. Joe's chucking up his market. He's looking like he wants to go to the Mythic Age. Getting that market first, and he was also building Satyr, but looking like he wants to go Mythic Age. Makes sense. He's got a lot of resources in the bank, and he will be advancing. So even though he got to the Heroic Age second, gets to go to the Mythic Age first. And we're seeing Atlas. Oh, I like Atlas in this matchup. It's I think Atlas is quietly the strongest Atlantean Mythic Age God Power, but Ionis doesn't have access to it. So we'll see if it can sway the tides of this battle. And I think Joe knows, looking like that Joe's really winning this. These Terma are really not doing work, especially because Joe's making these Cryoballister, which have a reduced wood and gold cost because he's Chronos, and he's also still got these Satyr out going to be taking this location. And even though Hells is making a pushy, he's really not going to be able to finish these off because they just tank so much with 50% Pierce armor. These medium Terminal would only be doing 2.2 damage to them a shot, which is next to nothing. But going after the citizens, maybe I'll pick off 1 or 2 here, and then have to get out of there. Population 104, the Hells is 114. And as we were saying, Atlas can effectively erase the Atlantean army because it's so good and it's really hard to run away from. It's kind of like Lightning Storm in that regard. So we'll see if it can sway the tide of this battle into Joe's favor, and if he can get that gold starve afterwards, which is clearly what he's going to be going for. Els, on the other hand, super short on food, and this is just because he hasn't been able to get out those extra villages, which Joe was able to get out because he lost a fight early. And Els taps out immediately at the side of Atlas, realizes he's just way too far behind on the economy side, and he's never going to be able to catch up. Would have liked to see the what's it called? Implode come down, but you can't get everything. And GG for Joe to take that one. A lot of lessons to be learned here, though. I think, like especially in regards to your usage of auto queue, it's all well and good to use it, but you need to know when to turn it off. And if you're above 30 units of military and don't have full upgrades, you should not be building more military unless you're going for super aggressive timing attack for a gold starve. It's not going to be a way forward, I reckon. But yeah, well played by Joe. He played it very, very nicely. Got a lot going for him. I really liked that he utilized the hero of citizens over here on the food, and made it work for him, even though he's out of his element playing Atlantean against Hells, who's definitely a more random god sort of player. And he has to take this game. Got some more games for you coming up. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll get that next one very shortly for you.